Salam. Welcome, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to my two panelists. So delighted to have you both here. So Rajan, you've had the most incredible career. You worked at NASA. You have built now this huge digital entertainment and technology company with a vast Gen Z and youth audience in India, and now building this globally. And now you are also here and setting up a multi-family office in ADGM in Abu Dhabi, especially with families from India and other emerging markets. So you, every day, are speaking to people all around the globe. So what patterns are you noticing in how this new generation frames impact and legacy?
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here. And I think what we're seeing here in Abu Dhabi is coming together of the world, both from a legacy standpoint and the next generational thinking. So I think when we went about working with Gen Zs in India, one of the things we realized that the starting point is you don't get us. And our answer has to be yes, we agree. Because that's where you build trust. That's how you are able to kind of deeply engage in shaping the generation going forward as well. And for this generation, when you talk of legacy, they don't really think what they're going to do after. It's here and now. It's their action and purpose is so aligned that they really want to create the impact today, and rather than thinking what it will be later. And even impact is now getting delivered through various different means. I mean, entrepreneurship with young people is just at a completely different high. And I think the entire aspect of bringing about technology and systemic change to create impact rather than measuring end outcomes is a very exciting opportunity that we see. And we see this transitioning from legacy families to next gen as well as a thought process.
And from your perspective, what does responsible stewardship mean for the next decade? I mean, especially when managing wealth across multiple generations, but also across multiple geographies.
Stewardship is trusteeship. I think it's again, how do you really look at leadership differently today, and what are those key things that you take forward? It's values. And not valuables. Many times when we look at wealth and we talk of what is that is moving, I think it's the values that you take forward. It's also a time, I think, when you look at it from a geographic standpoint, what matters locally is so important, because the world today needs different things as priority. And if we don't address that, I think we are missing out on something which is a larger impact and good that you can have on the world. So I think looking at some of these levers as the differentiated way of doing things, and Abu Dhabi becoming the base where all of this comes together is truly an exciting opportunity for us.
Extremely exciting, and we're all delighted to be here this week. Now turning to you, Dr. Adrian, if you don't mind me saying, you've had the most incredible history in creating legacy impact through your philanthropic endeavors. The K11 Art Foundation, which you created in 2010, has worked with some of the best-known art organizations and institutes in the world, including many in London, where I'm from, the ICA, the Royal Academy, and the Serpentine. Now you are also chairman of the Hong Kong Academy for Wealth Legacy, a pioneering institute dedicated to driving excellence and strengthening Hong Kong as a leading global family office hub. So could you share with us your thoughts on how clever, inspirational wealth stewards such as yourself are creating a generational legacy and the impact that you want to make?
Thank you. So in 2023, the Hong Kong government established the Academy of Wealth Legacy with the purpose of amalgamating all the global family offices around the world in mobilizing their capital and wealth for social goods and impact investments. And we want to really make Hong Kong to become a philanthropy hub of Asia. And for the past 2 years, my team and I are very proud that we're able to attract 49 families and also 26 strategic partnerships in creating an initiative called Impact Link. And Impact Link is a social impact initiative that all the family offices could participate in different types of philanthropic projects and social impact projects as well. And we have strategic partners, 26 strategic partners, such as Bloomberg Foundations. We have Prince of Albert II Monaco Foundations, the Fondation of France, Hong Kong Jockey Club, and the Gates Foundation as our partners, and they're sharing their projects, and the families could actually participate. And the past 2 years, we have been hosting 20 events with around 1,600 stewards participating. So it was quite a success for the past 2 years.
That sounds incredible.
Yes.
You must have been extremely busy. Now, the Hong Kong Academy introduced 6 legacy development goals. What are these goals, and which of these areas do you see as most transformative for Asian business families today?
The first goal is intergenerational integration. The second one is we have art and culture investments. We have also, of course, impact investments as well. We have wealth management. And most importantly is actually philanthropy and family governance, especially family governance. So family governance is actually the most crucial. The reason why is family governance training or family governance development binds the next generation together so that they have a shared vision and also a shared purpose. And without that, you will have a lot of succession risk conflicts, business downturns, leadership gaps, and also disengagement with the heirs. So that's why when we are looking at the 6 development goals, the family governance is the most crucial.
Would you mind me asking, Dr. Adrian, what do a younger generation, if you think they were to name one thing that they really care about, is it the future of the planet? Is it, what is it? What are the sort of younger next generation, what's foremost in the areas they are most concerned about?
Me, right? Well, if you look at the private capitals right now in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong market, according to the Sustainable Finance survey, first is nature-based solutions, number 1. Second is food and agriculture, because food and agriculture accounts for 12% of the gas emissions around the world. Third is healthcare. Healthcare is the biggest topic, and also the social impact theme. Fourth is built environment, because in built environment or constructions, 40% of the greenhouse emissions are actually accounted for in built environment. So those are basically some of the sectors that they're interested in.
Thank you. And Rajan, back to you. You work closely with global giving networks. Where do you see the biggest opportunities for cross-border philanthropy and capital flow between India, the UAE, and the wider diaspora?
It's interesting. Historically, we've seen, some of the larger families and larger family offices setting up, philanthropic, initiatives that sustain generations. Today, we are seeing even much smaller families, making a cause something which is going to be intergenerational. And it's interesting because, as Adrian was saying, there are some causes that are global today, right? Whether it's climate change is so real, you look at healthcare, the wellness piece, especially, as you see young people looking at it. And what we're particularly invested in ourselves and that we are propagating extensively is the entire growth of the creative economy. Because ultimately, if every individual, no matter where on earth you are, a young person, can tap into that potential of creativity that they have and unlock that, to generate their new livelihoods, to become entrepreneurs, to work collaboratively, whatever it takes, I think is something that will unite and connect the world. So we believe that, being able to unlock that part is probably the largest. But having said that, I think, education and health still continue to be the primary largest drivers of, philanthropic spend around the world, especially in emerging countries.
I'm delighted to hear you talk about creativity. I come from a very creative background myself. We're here, and there's a lot of talk about artificial intelligence at this summit and summits all over the world at the moment. How do you see, there's been a big focus on developing STEM skills and skills around developing artificial intelligence, but tell me why creativity in an era of fast-growing technology remains so important? I mean, just for human development.
Exactly right, because if you see that what got automated were the tasks, and now with generative AI, even creativity is getting. So I actually look at AI as your tireless creative partner. If you can use AI, if every person can use AI to enhance their level of creativity, the world could be very different. And we've seen one human imagination of one person, sending satellites up in space, putting a chip in the brain, and controlling social networks, putting EVs. It's one human imagination of creativity creating that. Imagine if 10 such creative minds of the world came together and led by a machine, what it could mean. So creativity is going to unlock at a crazy pace going forward. And I think it's important for people to be able to tap into that, use AI to enhance and strengthen that, rather than let AI take that over. And I think that's the one human thing that will probably hold strong. And we see that in countries like India, the government's created creative technology hubs and things, and replacing just pure technology with the words creative technology. And I think that's making a big difference.
And philanthropy will be incredibly important in helping build skills, won't it, across the world. You work at the intersection of business and philanthropy. For founders and investors who want to build impact-driven companies, what does the right balance of profit and purpose look like?
It's funny that you always say the business of business is business, right? And I think, again, this is a value that different families have. Until now, people said, if the purpose of business is only business, then whatever profits I make, I deploy it separately as philanthropy. We see this big shift of purpose-driven businesses, purpose-driven entrepreneurship, actually now combining both wealth creation and serving communities, as one joint ambition and aspect. So when we see, and what we believe are going to be the leaders of tomorrow, because when you talk of business, things keep changing on who's disrupting what. If you're continuing to have a purpose, to solve a problem that exists and do it truly with that spirit, I think that is the beauty of what can be served to the world. And countries like India and others where, we have, 4 Indias, right? Below the poverty line, middle India, $2,700, average per capita, income, is going to require so much of all of that, right? And I think emerging countries and developed countries can really work together to make this shift happen. And again, I come back to the reason we've set up here the Aspen Next for global family offices, that Abu Dhabi or a place like this can be a great global hub to make a lot of this change happen from this region. So we're truly excited to be here.
Very exciting times. And Dr. Adrian, a similar question for you. For founders and investors who want to build impact-driven companies, what does the right balance and right balance of profit?
I think purpose and profit, it really depends on the family and the person, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to be self-financed and sustainable in a sense. So you need profit to support the purpose. And that's number one. Secondly is that you also need to find your purpose. Sometimes you can have a very ambitious purpose. You want to disrupt the entire society, you want to disrupt the technology, you want to better a certain cause in the society. It really depends on the degree that you want on the purpose side. So I'll give you an example. In 2010, in Hong Kong, there was a company that does wheelchair accessible taxis. And there was 10 taxis only at that time. Now there's 100. Okay? Profit, it's profitable, but it's not a lot. However, they influence cross-border policy change in different regions around Asia. So the profit side was less, but the impact side was humongous around Asia. So their ambition was more on the purpose side, but not on the profit side. So the balance it really depends on that person, where the family wants to create less profit and contribute more towards the purpose, or contribute less on the purpose. It really depends.
I totally understand. So a quick final question to you, Dr. Adrian. Which philanthropic project, however big or small, are you most proud of looking back over the last decade?
So I have a charity called WEMP that focuses on children's mental health. And that's something that it's very important for the next 10 years on mental health, but most importantly on children. We have already served 160,000 participants, families, and also children in awareness and also advanced medical cares, especially in trauma cases as well. Aside from philanthropy, I would like to add on the transformative sectors that I want to talk about too. I think the next generations, aside from philanthropic, there are some projects that people are looking at, especially in green transitions and also climate change solutions through decarbonizing industries like the green steel productions and also a lot of renewable energy innovations too. These are a lot of young stewards that are also interested for the next 10 years, not just philanthropic, but on impact investment. Secondly is healthcare. As I said, healthcare is something that I want to close this with the idea of healthcare. Everyone's talking about healthcare for basic needs and also for advanced services as well. And then the third is kind of inclusive finance through financial products and fintechs in order to equitable economic participation in and optimizing capital for nature-based solutions and also social enterprises. These are three things that, aside from philanthropy, the next 10 years, that can actually transform society.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Rajan, to you, in 10 years, if you could look back to this day and this moment, what would be the one collective impact you would like to have achieved?
You know, you use the word collective, so you know, I think as individual or as a company or as a group, as a family, as a person, you know, really unlocking the true power under every individual, as that's really what we've made as a mission through our digital ecosystems businesses, to empower every individual in more ways than one. But collectively, I co-chair the large India at 100 initiative, which is aligned with Prime Minister Modi's vision of a Viksit Bharat, which is a developed India of 2047. And if you're saying a decade, you know, 2047 is 22 years away. I'd love to see that happen in a decade. And that's going to require collaboration of, you know, use of tremendous amount of technology to build inclusivity, you know, to create affordability, to make sure that, you know, everything that India does, the innovation sandbox, is a very strong one to include everyone. But more importantly, I think government, you know, civil society, industry, all aligning, and global partners, you know, to make that happen. And I think that is one thing that would, you know, really excite me if we could have achieved that in a decade.
I said that was the final question. We've got 12 seconds. How hopeful do you feel about the next decade?
How comfortable?
Hopeful.
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 I'm an optimist. And I always believe that it's what you see from inside is what will happen outside, rather than look at the situation and you know, react to it.
And to you, Dr. Adrian, how hopeful do you feel about the next decade?
Very hopeful.
Good. Well, that's an optimistic note to end our talk today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Adrian. Thank you, Rajan. Thank you very much.